Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode here on the Hermitcraft Mesa-fied server. It is early in the morning for me. I may have a little bit of morning voice, and at the beginning of this episode just want to let you know what my plans for this area are. I've sort of discussed it a couple of times that I want to just slow down a little bit and get ahead of myself here with plans, know exactly what I want to do for the future, and I've decided that one of the things I'd like to do is extend my base out, not only underground, but out into these areas down here as well. So I've gone around during a live stream, put down some signs and little markers with some netherrack on fire, just to sort of make a note of this area being mine, if it's alright to claim it, of course. I don't think anyone else had plans to be over here. And also, I think I want to make the Guardian Farm project thing part of my base as well. I've got an idea, a really ambitious one that's starting to form in my mind, and it'll take a lot of time to sort of prepare things in creative mode, do some planning, but I'm hoping that, you know, with it being so close to the base and building in this area, we can sort of tie everything together and have a big organic base that flows from one place to the other. And over there at the Guardian Farm, we will be building some sort of mega structure. That's all I'm going to say for now. And the farm isn't going to be one of those super efficient, fast as we can types. It'll be one that's built into what I plan on building over there. Now, I don't want to natter on about that for too long. As you can see, I've been doing some wood farming and I need to do some more. This is because I've been working on my personal stash. I need to deposit some more for the Logfellas as well. And I want to ask you guys something. Do you remember doing this? Planting down birch saplings with 2 blocks in between. It's a habit I've had for the longest time. Used to put down 1 birch, count out 2 more, and then put down another one because they wouldn't grow side by side like this. But it turns out that that's not true. I planted a load down in a row because I figured they'd grow quicker, and some of the trees started growing next to each other. Now, I've asked a couple of other players here on the server, and it seems like most people knew that this would work, but at some point it changed, and I don't know when that changed, because it definitely used to need a 2 block gap in between each one. I know some of you will remember that, but anyway, let me know if you know or knew when that was, because I don't know, it's been sort of annoying me a little bit. Anyway, inside this area, again, not too much done. Going to take my time. Haven't even gotten into creative mode yet on play.asumervoid.com to sort of figure out how we're going to build this. But what I've been spending my time doing is organising my chests. So I'm going to go sort of through them one by one now because I want to show you how we've done this. It's quite similar to what we did last season. However, that's a junk chest, by the way, so's that one. However, our storage room is nowhere near as big as it used to be. So the part that gets automatically sorted using the chests as item filters, so when a chest is full, which this one will eventually be, it means other types of items don't make their way into it when we build a sorting system. So the part that gets all of these filters is sort of bigger, but I've included all the blocks in the game into it. So like we used to have massive bulk storage, chests upon chests, just for sand and cobble and stuff like that, but we will see how it all goes. We may need that stuff later on. And I just wanted to show you all of this real quick. So cobblestone, diorite, andesite, and down the bottom there, you guessed it, granite. No, I got those two the wrong way around. Now this one here is all dedicated to clay. We've got quite a lot of clay storage, and it occurred to me that we're going to need this because we're in the Mesa biome. We're going to be picking up tons of this stuff as we go along. Then over here we have the valuables. Yes, right there, you can see all my goodies. And we got stuff from the Nether. We got a chest for other things, not too sure what's going to go in here just yet. Then we got our redstone chest, and at the bottom we got our prismarine blocks chest. And as well as that, I also have just a couple of things over here. We've got our treasures. Now this includes things that other hermits have given to me, like the book that Joe Hills made, an ad for my Jevin, and Iscal's clues. And then in this one I've got some of my gear, leftover things, you know, swords and stuff that we're not using. And I've also organised my ender chest. Now, if you are new to the channel and haven't seen the essential ender chest video that I did, it's a very well received video. I'd highly recommend checking it out. There'll be a link in the description box. Basically, I looked at the ender chest and said, wherever you go in this world, if you've got an ender chest, you've got access to some materials, some resources, and there are some combinations of blocks that can be very, very useful. So the idea is, with these things right here, you have the means to create a lot of items that are available in the game. Now, I don't want to go into too much detail, but for example, if we use this and this to grow some trees when we're out in the wild, then with some wood and some cobblestone, there are a lot of things that you can craft that are useful. And with all of this, you can generally, get a lot of different things. So we've now got all of those in our ender chest, including another ender chest. So when I go caving, I can bring that with me and have access to a lot of extra things, which is really cool. So anyway, link to that video will be in the description box. But for now, we are going to move on to something else. That is my storage area, neatly organized, and of course, we've got a little bit more to do in the future. So I think this is my new favourite way of tree farming. When you don't need a specific type, let's say you're crafting pistons, something like that, you need a lot of wood. I reckon this is the way to go because it's like growing oak in a row. Nice and easy to chop down once it's all finished growing. However, you don't have those logs that go out the side. And so this is very straightforward and simple. So this episode we are going to be building a bridge, and that bridge is going to be built out of path blocks. And this is all of the grass that I have left, 11 blocks. Now this is where the bridge is going to be going. As you may remember, a couple of episodes ago we removed the unstable bridge with Joe Hills, and I was thinking I need to go to the shop and buy some more grass, so got me some diamonds, and maybe we'll take Golden Chappie across this one wide bit here. But I noticed the colour from the biome, and I was just curious, are paths affected by that as well? It doesn't look like it. Now if we turn around right there in the middle, we would see a difference. I can't see one, so I don't think these paths are affected by the biome colour. Anyway, we're going to hop on our horse here and see if we can get across that one wide bridge. He is going to hate me if I fail to do this, but I think if we just press F3 and look at that, almost had it perfect, minus 90, hold down forward, and you're going to be fine. Right, so now we can go across and buy some grass from the shop. And yeah, another thing, we're going to have to do some terraforming here. That is too steep. I think a lot of this right here will get trimmed back, and of course the path will be extended around this area up to where we had it before. So we're going to be using bricks in this build, and silly me, I should have put this in first. So now we've gone and successfully wasted some grass, and also I tried putting my clay in a furnace, and that makes hardened clay. You have to break it up to make bricks. It'd be nice if clay just went straight into bricks like this. But there you go. It kind of makes sense. But the thing is, we're in a mesa biome, so there is no shortage of hardened clay. And at this point, what I'm thinking is I don't want to build too much of this bridge because I've got a live stream to do later on, and it's just going to get spoiled. So what we'll probably do is finish this later on in the episode. There is a couple of other things that I want to do, and some things we can get done in the live stream as well. For example, over there, we've got like a little bit of terrain that needs sorting out, and we need to connect this to the main path. But anyway, bricks was one of the things that I wanted to use in this build, and we're definitely going to make good use of it. It's not going to be too excessive. It's going to be the main support for the bridge, and this bridge is going to have arcs as well. So we're going to have like a base on either side and an arc that goes over and comes back down, and then a few beams going down for support, which is quite different from what I originally pictured. But on the day when I go to build this, follow your inspiration and it will lead you to something. Now, another thing that I want to mention is we're keeping a lot of this sand because it is, as Joe said, like a tribute to what was here before and remind you of things that have happened on the server, and I like that. Plus, it'll probably capture your interest a little bit. You will look at it and go, why is all that sand there? And then if you're a hermit on the server, maybe you ask someone else and they explain it all to you. But down the bottom here, we are not, because Python has been working on the rivers in these areas, and we're going to have it so that all the rivers will be properly fixed and connected, and that means you can ride your boats to different parts. Hi, it's a zombie villager! To different parts of our lovely mesa biome. These guys move really slow in the water, don't they? So down the bottom here, it will just be a little bit different. And as I sort of mentioned earlier in the series, down the bottom here has been part of my tidying up the biome project. So on this side over here, you can see the difference. This has all been tidied up, and it looks pretty good. Now you're probably wondering, what is it that I've tidied up? This grass. It looks disgusting down here. So another thing I'd love to do around in this area is replace all of that. But this grass often extends like right down here into the river and makes it difficult for boats to go through. So that's another part of like taking care of this area. And you can see the part that I've come up to here. Doesn't that look about 10 times better in this mesa than this bit right here? So yeah, just taking care of everything. And for that reason, with the boats coming through here, there's not going to be sand at the bottom. However, you can see a couple of bits of it just under the water here. Now that is a nice sight, isn't it? What do you see? A little blob of water over there. That is a water fountain, a very small one actually. And this is something that we got done in a live stream. Once again, another fantastic live stream. I've been really enjoying them and I look forward to it every single time. And yeah, we did a few other things as well, which we'll get to in a bit. But this path was the main thing, and over here we had a suggestion to split the path into two, and then to put something in the middle of it. And do you know what? It really works, actually. It's quite fine, because you can just sort of go straight over to the bridge, or you can go around like this. You know, it's not really an obstacle. And that is literally it right there. Now, in the middle, there is some glass that you can barely see from the outside, so that's how the water's sort of up there floating. Just sort of occurred to me, you could just place a block here, and then remove it after, and the water would go all the way down. So then I guess that line there, you wouldn't see it. It'd be slightly different in the middle. I guess, yeah, the glass there doesn't really make too much of a difference. Anyway, around the outside, a little bit of detail with some more glass as well. Some sea lanterns on the ground, nothing too much to talk about. And then over here, the bridge has progressed a little bit further, as you can see. We now have our clay on the side, and these are going to be like the little support beams that go up to the bit above. So yeah, we'll attach that in a moment, and then if we pop down here you can sort of see the underside of it. And I really like that we've used clay here actually, or sorry, clay, bricks, because I hardly ever use that building block. But anyway, let's get this built up a little bit further. It's not going to take us too long to construct this bridge. It is kind of hard to get the right viewing angle for this sort of stuff. You want to be a bit closer, but we can't fly, we can't be floating around in the air. But that's the base right there. It's tied it up to the bottom of the bridge, where we actually have a sea lantern and a couple of brick blocks that go back into the side there, as you can see over here. And so that kind of ties it together. But that spruce wood is going to be part of the beam that's going to go over the top. It's basically going to go up from there, arc over, and come back down to the same place on this side. And building this is actually quite easy. It's just a little bit of a thing to do. So place the stairs like that, then flip round to the other side. It's almost like a tutorial all of a sudden. Pop them down like that, put some slabs at either end, and then pop down below. So below, what we do is have a whole block and then stair blocks going in, so it just curves back a little bit. And then here's where things get a little bit varied depending on where you're building it. So we can put spruce like that, and normally that would be fine, but this you can sort of see it rests on top of, which we don't want. So we want it to be like that, so you see that the beam kind of goes down into the ground. And I think I'm going to remove this block here as well, just so you see a bit more of that. And again, we can actually just, you know, change the shape of this just so you see even more of it. And we have removed some of the sand here, but we're leaving all of the rest so you know what was here before. I really like how this sand looks below, I gotta say. And I think it's the red sand that kind of does the trick here. So then just the same thing on this side over here. So here are the arcs, and this actually started out as a simple, you know, full block little thing, just made the shape, slowly converted it into stairs and slabs, and you know what, it looks pretty cool. Got a couple of buttons on there for details, which you can see on the top as well, but probably won't see ever from down below. And at the top here, we're going to add a couple of daylight sensors. Now this adds the slightest curve, but also, you know, adds a little bit of a different texture, and I really think it works. It's strange because you wouldn't think it does. And maybe right now it's not so impressive, but when the rest of it is all in place, I think it looks pretty good. So anyway, the next step is for us to go along and put in all of these. And what I love about this is that it connects on every stair block. Oh, silly me, which it's not doing right now because you have to put a block above it. And then you get this little block type on top of each of the stairs. So we're going to put a glass pane on top of it, and bam! I've not seen actually how it looks when you have just the like singular bit like this. And I can see Ren is saying something in chat. I'll get back to him in a moment. Yeah, these are our support beams, and I've seen these the way that they used to be, where they sort of all spread out, and I think they actually looked a little bit better like that. However, having them thin like this is okay. They just don't really stand out. They don't let you know that they're there, do they? I think we might have to try something a little bit different, something that is more obvious. That's actually quite surprising, because for the first time I'm looking at this and thinking if this was 1.8 that would look really good, because it did kind of look good in 1.8, even though you'd expect it not to do. Yeah, let's try something different here. Let's try some iron bars. Well, iron bars it is. This clearly looks a little bit more visible. I feel like though there should probably be another one hanging in between, but the way we've designed this, it wouldn't have anything to sort of latch onto up above. And believe it or not, that is the last of my iron. I think I've got 1 ingot left to spend and whatever is in my inventory. So 2 ingots, that's what we're down to. It is a very different experience not having an iron farm. But anyway, this thing's like almost done now. We've just got a couple of more details to throw in there, and that's just a few things to sort of bridge the two together, because at the moment you go across and they're completely separate. So let's throw in something up here, and then this thing is going to be done. So there's a couple of instances here where we have stair blocks on the top. We've got them here and here, and also all the way down the bottom, but we're not going that low. And just where they are, we're going to put in some fence gates, because they kind of line up with the edge. Now, I could have done this with spruce, but I think the colour difference here is a good one. And there's Ren. I actually told him to come over to my base because I have some bows for him. Let's just go and chuck these on the ground. He has unfortunately died and lost his X-bow, and there's no more in the shop. So with those two, power 5, unbreaking 3. Then you've got your flame, and down here, infinity and mending as well. So combining all of those together, he'll have himself an X-bow again. Where did that XP come from? Anyway, we must be hasty because I've messed up the path a little bit here. We need to replace this, but it's nighttime and we need to add some light sources. Now, you might be thinking glowstone, something fancy like that. Do you know what? Just going to put in some torches. I think torches are good, actually. An example of that would be Tango's build has torches, like, neatly spaced all around his build, and it kind of makes it sparkle a little bit. But for us here, some torches on the inside I think will make the difference. So, remove the netherrack, and this thing is finished. I don't believe I've missed anything. Gotta say, I love how this looks. It looked good on my server in creative mode, but it looks so much better once it's actually in the world and a part of it. So of course, now what we've got to do is hop on Golden Chappie over here and have a little run around. Now, I'm not going across the bridge first of all, because we should look at it from the side. I love that. I think that looks great. One possible complaint is the cobblestone. I think maybe that is a little bit much in the middle of that. And maybe another like texture in there could break it up. Instead of having cobblestone right there, you just have stone bricks. I don't know, so we might tweak that, but otherwise I'd say that's done and this bit is finished. And I'm really happy with how it's turned out. So next up, I wanted to work on the entrance a little bit. We did some redstone here a while ago. We had great fun putting together this door, and then I sort of left it a little bit unfinished. So I've finished doing all of that. But I would like to show you this right here. I thought this was an old T flip-flop design that I've seen people use. And initially, what I did is have the redstone over the top of it like this. Now, they are pointing into one another. So when you power it, the idea is that it goes from one dropper to the other, and it gives you a different signal because you've got two outputs, which you'd have to wire up, not with redstone side by side. So then I figured, okay, so when you power it, what's happening is you're locking the other hopper. Now, if you do it like this, I think you might actually still be locking the hopper, even though it's not directly powering the block. Either way, it doesn't like that, and I just found it confusing. Could have swore this was an old T flip-flop design. So we ended up going with the piston design, which is where you take a one-tick pulse. So underneath there's a sticky piston. The input creates a little one-tick pulse, and below this block is where we have our sticky piston, which pushes this block back and forth. So when the redstone block is here, the wire goes directly into the input for this little bit, which powers the gravel blocks being pushed upwards, and when it gets pushed over this way, it goes across the other side. You can see there's another tick creator or pulse creator, and that sends the signal up over this side and up to the top. Now, it wasn't working a moment ago. Had to make a little adjustment with the timing up the top there, because sometimes this could get stuck, which was not a good thing, obviously. And the reason that we ran the cable underneath here is so that all of it can fit behind this if it were a wall. So if we extend this out on both sides, all of the redstone's going to fit behind it, right? And that's a good thing. That gives us lots of flexibility for our room. So at this point, what we really need to do now is tidy this up a little bit and put in a floor. It's going to be a temporary one. I'm going to build one in a moment, but now that we've hooked up what is a T flip-flop, did I even mention that? This right here is a T flip-flop. That means each time it receives an input, the output is going to change. So when we stand on it, it's going to open if it's closed, and then if it's open, it's going to close when we stand. Wait, did I say that the right way around? We've got a visitor. But you can hear exactly what's going on. Now there was a concern. I've just realised as I say it, it's not quite true, I think. Let's test it out. You're leaving the base. You walk out of here. You're now closing it. But the door was open. It shouldn't have been open. Right. Invalid test. Invalid test. Okay, so the door will need to be closed because we want to leave. And maybe that means putting this right here isn't the best place to have it. But there you go. It opens. And then on our way out, we activate the other tripwire. We've now only got one out here. And it closes. So then when we're approaching the base, it's going to open for us, and after we've gone through, it's going to close, like that. Which is pretty cool. Now, obviously, with other people playing on here as well, having multiple people in the base, that's probably going to get messed up. So something else I reckon we should do is have a little button to activate the T flip-flop at the side. Although, would you ever really need that? Actually, yeah, you would, because if it's open, you'd walk through it. You can get through, you'd close it, but then you'd activate this and you'd leave the door open. So if you came through and it was open, it was closed, then you could do with a little button here. Alright, so I think what we should also do is have an additional button there that's hooked up for it. And I'll mess around with that and I'll see how I feel about it. And maybe we'll keep that, maybe we won't. But one thing we definitely need to do is not trap myself in a hole and put in a temporary floor in here. I've got an idea for something that looks really cool. So this wasn't the plan, but man, does this look cool. We need some more of this clay right here. It looks real nice over the edge there. And maybe actually we need it against andesite at all times. But this is my floor design right here. Now let's just quickly craft this up. So this is from our previous season of Hermit. Oh yeah, just one stack. Previous season of Hermitcraft. We made this little floor design in the middle here, just the andesite and the chiseled sort of opposite one another, and they look so good. And I was just reminded of that, and I thought, temporary floor we're going to put in here to look pretty, we'll do something like this. And I don't mind that it's temporary and it might get ripped out because, you know, building is fun and this looks cool. And we found a nice combination of blocks right here, just sort of stumbled directly into this because I think the sea lanterns actually go well with the cyan as well. So all of this is looking pretty cool. But a fun little fact for you, I grabbed some quartz out of my chest. I think I grabbed 60 quartz blocks. So I split it all into slabs, and that made a stack of 56. So I took the 64 and I turned them into these types of blocks. And then I came down here and started placing them out, and I was like, right, we're going to make this shape right here with these ones. Around the outside, we'll use the slabs to make a little border. And it just so happens that this used up every single block that I crafted without knowing how many that it would use, and that is pleasing. That is pleasing in a strange way. I like it when things like that happen. But as you can see, now that we're just filling in the last bits over here, I mean, it gives the room something, right? It does look nice, but compared to the wall over there, especially with this mossy cobble looking a bit rough, you can clearly see it's not going to be permanent. We need to figure out the theme for this entire build and the group of materials that are going to work well together and be consistent as well. Because if we just go from room to room with, you know, okay, now there's quartz and then all of a sudden there's lots of stone and hay bales and chests, and then we go over here and there's all sorts of colours, it's probably not going to look too great. So we do need a way to get some consistency in here. But anyway, I'm just going to finish up doing the last bits and bobs of this. And curiously, once again, I am left with just a single block after what we've crafted, and that would have gone right there if it wasn't for that redstone. Could I even move that redstone? No, because then this bit would be pointing into that block. But there you go. Decided to put some acacia wood around the outside here, and I think there is a lesson to be learned, which is, even if you're in a temporary area, just take a little bit of care to put down some nice looking blocks, and even if it's something simple, just makes it feel a lot nicer to live in. And yeah, definitely a good idea. That nether portal sound is fantastic. I love it. Every time we go through a nether portal, I'm like, yes, it's back, it's great. And we're over here at the ocean thing. Monument, Guardian, 2 words in my head, wasn't sure which one to pick. The Ocean Monument is the correct name, I think, and then Guardian Temple, sometimes it gets called as well. Anyway, we've set up a fishing farm up the top here. Now, as I said earlier in the video, that my plans are to make this part of my base, and we will probably have something a little bit more permanent in the future, but for now, this is going to be temporary. So, if you remember the fishing farm that we had built all the way over there in the blue area, that's gone, that's been ripped out, and it's been replaced by a new farm design that Panda's made. I'll put a link to this in the description box, and if I just swim up here in the water, I can go through it like that, which is just like I felt like doing. So this one is basically a lot smaller and simpler. I'm yet to try it out. This is literally all of the redstone right here, and you stand on this bit, you use the iron trapdoor, you stand on the soul sand, which means items that land on it will get picked up by the hopper that's underneath. Now there is a little bit of a chain here, because I was thinking we could bring these drops all the way down, but I didn't have the hoppers and droppers at the time. I've got no more iron, so we won't be able to do this today, but at some point this will go all the way down below to that area, and then we'll have our chests. Now I haven't used this, so the chests are just empty at the moment, but you know, we can have a larger storage cache, I think is what you would call that, a larger storage cache for all of the items and stuff, and then I can AFK up here. Now, when I'm up here, what you got to realise is that like hostile mob spawning happens in proximity to the player. So the higher up that I go, the less spawning spaces there are in the caves underneath there for mobs to spawn. And we also don't want to go too far away from this area because mobs can spawn, obviously guardians, hostile mobs, inside that water. So while we're AFKing there, hopefully a few guardians will be spawning. As we start to remove more of the water around here, more and more of them will spawn in the farm. So, oh, there are some right there. Yes, I definitely, yep, and another one. I just saw two go through. So we're sort of killing two birds with one stone, right? Which I think is really cool. And if we go down here as well, you can see that there are some skeleton horses out there in the water. We can't bring them back with boats. The skeletons won't go into the boats, or better yet, the skeleton horses won't go in the boats. And someone really needs to tidy up that cobblestone over there. It looks ugly. But anyway, they won't get in the boats, so in order to bring them back, you sort of need to nudge them. And there are lots of guardians down here, and they are pretty tough. So that's not something I'm going to be doing for a while. I guess maybe I should start bridging out my next like sand instead of there over in that direction so we can get them. And I am really pleased because I have hardly been over here at all since I last checked this chest and emptied it. So that's pretty good. Now I'm wondering if some of that came from us just being over at our base because we are still near to this and loading it. But you know, I don't know. I really haven't been over here for a long time at all since I last emptied it. I'd say about 10 minutes tops. But there you go. I think that's pretty decent for 10 minutes. Well, that actually looks pretty ugly from over here, but we're going to make good use of that. As of right now, I've got a whole bunch of chests lying around in my base that need organising and tidy again. My inventory is full, but I've made a bad habit of not doing this lately. We're going to use the farm. We're going to use it right now. Once I'm tidied up, I'm going to fire up my second computer to be over there and use it AFK for a while and just to see how the new farm works. But that is going to be it from me this episode. I think I mentioned a tutorial for the ender chest, right? Earlier in this video, so there's a link to that down in the description box. Be sure to check it out. And as always, I hope you enjoyed this episode of Hermitcraft. If you did, leave a like on the video. As always, thank you so much for your support, and I will catch you in the next episode. Bye-bye.